Hello, and welcome to Your Vote Counts, a public service program for the May 19th primary election that is being produced by Capital Community Media, a multimedia center that provides local content, education, and a platform for diverse community voices in the greater Salem area, and by the League of Women Voters of Marion and Polk counties, a nonpartisan political organization advocating for voting rights, government transparency, and public election education. All candidates for the positions of state Senate and House districts, Polk County Commissioners, Salem Mayor, and Salem Councilors were invited, and we will be hearing from one of the candidates for City Councilor for Ward 8 in our interview. Candidates were asked to prepare a 2-minute opening statement telling about themselves, their qualifications, and why they chose to run for the office, as well as for a 2-minute closing statement. I'm Toma Cadu, your moderator from the League of Women Voters, and I'd like to introduce candidate Micki Varney to share their opening remarks.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone, I'm Micki Varney. I'm a retired salmon research biologist and I'm proud to represent West Salem on the City Council. I've been involved in my community for over 14 years, showing up to neighborhood meetings, helping secure grants for our parks, and working along neighbors on projects to improve our neighborhoods. I served on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and in 2022 I was elected to the Salem City Council. In the past 4 years, I've focused on getting real, practical things done. We balanced the city budget, and thanks to your support, kept our libraries and parks open. I've supported expanding shelter and affordable housing, and programs like HST, the Clean Salem Team, and REACH, because we all want to see people move off the streets and into stable housing. Here in West Salem, I've worked on the issues I hear about most: traffic and homelessness. I've reduced speed limits on major roads, added pedestrian crossings, and made sure traffic congestion is being addressed in the city's next transportation plan. I've also pushed for better development, protecting trees, improving stormwater systems, and keeping our neighborhoods walkable and livable. I've been a strong advocate for police and fire, supporting more staffing, better equipment, and infrastructure improvements like the 2 new fire stations. I've insisted on government transparency. I pushed to make sure key decisions happen in public, where you can see them. Looking ahead, I'll keep focusing on what matters most: public safety, addressing homelessness, and making sure West Salem grows responsibly. I'm proud of what I've accomplished on council, and I'm ready to keep doing the work. I'd be honored to earn your vote on May 19th.
Thank you for sharing that information with us. The questions for our candidate today were developed in collaboration with the American Association of University Women and League members. Candidates did not receive the questions ahead of this interview. The candidates' responses to the individual questions will not be timed. Now let's give candidate Varney an opportunity to address questions of concern and interest to our community. Our first question: what is in the works for Salem's infrastructure and what are the priorities?
Currently, we just started the second phasing of the 2022 infrastructure bond. That bond provided money for streets and sidewalks and parks and the Civic Center. And so we just received the funding at a really good interest rate. I won't quote it here because I don't remember exactly what it is, but it resulted in us having a bond savings of an additional $3 million. So for infrastructure, look at the Riverfront Park playground equipment that will be replaced this summer. The equipment is about 28 years old, and that's something that the infrastructure bond is paying for. Another thing, like I mentioned, are 2 future fire stations. We need one in Northeast and we need one in the Southeast. And so the bond will be paying for parts of that. In the past 3 years, it's already covered sidewalks and park improvements. And so this next phase is the second of 3 phases of the $300 million bond. And so it has a lot of projects on it, and then the third phase will as well. And I serve on the Infrastructure Bond Steering Committee. And so we have a criteria system to prioritize projects for the bond. So although there were projects listed in the actual bond measure, within those projects we prioritize what gets done first. And so those are all coming up.
Thank you for that. Many residents may not understand the duties of council members. Why should they be interested in this race?
Because the things that we do as council impact their lives directly. I mean, a councilor is, sure, we run the city, we develop policies, but we also make sure that you have water in your faucets, that your toilets flush, that when it rains, your house doesn't flood. We work on policies for roads and do parks and buildings. I mean, it's things that touch residents every day. In addition, I feel it's really important to be responsive to community members, and they reach out to me all the time. I think that community involvement and answering questions and resolving issues is a huge part of being on City Council. In the last 2 days, let's see, I've had a safety concern on Dokes Ferry Road. I've had somebody ask me about the pedestrian crossing that we're putting on Orchard Heights and Parkway. I had someone ask me about, how do we get more vendors that sell produce at our farmers markets on Saturday and Thursday? And then another one was a crossing and also traffic, traffic improvements to address the congestion and the increased traffic we're seeing in West Salem as growth continues. So we do a lot as city councilors.
Several team project areas have been developed to address areas of concern. Tell us which one interests you most.
Team project?
Team?
Team?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you may be asking about downtown and the homeless services team or the REACH team or the...
That kind of general team approach, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to focus on the homeless services team. It is a team of 2 police officers that teams up with the Salem Clean Team that goes in and cleans up campsites and cleans up areas of the city. And they work together. The HST, or Homeless Services Team, provides security and helps connect unsheltered individuals to resources, and they work alongside the Clean Team. The reason I wanted to focus on Homeless Services Team is after COVID, when a number of unsheltered were using our parks, the Homeless Services Team started working to assist folks in Wallace Marine Park. And I was part of a work group that was developed in 2023, and we systematically, the Homeless Services Team and the Clean Team, worked piece by piece and set up a schedule to get folks connected to services and into housing that they could afford. And it was really successful, and it set up a pilot for what we're doing right now downtown. The difference downtown is we have increased funding, so we now have the coverage from the Homeless Services Team and the Clean Team 7 days a week instead of 4 days a week. And it's making a huge difference. The last time I was downtown, well, actually, I want to focus on Wallace Marine Park since it's in West Salem. When I was there 3 weeks ago, the area from the softball fields, the parking lot, all the way down to the boat ramp were clean. The trash had been picked up. Folks weren't camping in there. It just makes it more open for others to feel comfortable going in and using it. So that's an example of something that we've implemented that is truly making a difference.
For our next question, I'd like to ask what economic pressures are exerted on Salem due to the presence of state government and Willamette University?
Well, our general fund, a lot of it relies on property taxes, and public institutions, state buildings, county properties, nonprofits, churches, etc., don't pay property tax. So it puts a much larger burden on those that do pay property tax. And that general fund is what the revenue in the general fund is what pays for people to run our city. It pays for police and fire. It pays for IT. It pays for administration. It keeps our city running, so it's crucial. And the property tax, because of measures 5 and 45 that were passed in the 90s, the property tax only increases at 3% a year. Well, the costs to run the city increase at a much faster rate. So we're at this imbalance where the revenue is not keeping up with the cost for services, and we're having to make cuts, readjust, have a levy like we did for parks and libraries, the levy we just passed last year, so to pay for general funds to keep parks and libraries open, because the general fund is no longer covering those services adequately. And so we passed the levy so that we could keep our libraries open. So it's a huge issue, and we need to find alternative funding or find ways that maybe the state buildings can provide a payment in lieu of taxes, because they use our city services too, whether it's cleaning the streets, whether it's the police, whether it's response if there's a fire, an emergency, whatever. They're still using the services, but they're not paying for them.
Thank you for that. Do you support the use of general funds to provide revenue guarantee for a passenger air service at the airport? Why or why not?
Well, at this point, I'm just thinking it has not worked well in the past, and I'm really curious as to why. We did have a number of passengers using a Velo before, but it just didn't meet the market rate that it needed to. Driving to Portland is the option that we have to use now, but it is rather inconvenient. I'd really actually rather put money into more of a high-speed rail to get to Portland, personally. But we do need our airport for emergency management, for military operations. We have pilots that use it. We are growing, and we have more and more businesses that are using it for different things. So we do need to keep putting money into our airport. And so I'm really thankful that we have some recent grants from the FAA, and we get some state monies, things to help keep our airport going. And so those grants and funds help offset the costs out of the general fund. We really use very little out of our general fund to support the airport.
What do you know about the current tree preservation and tree canopy codes? And do you have any comments about their effectiveness in maintaining and enhancing the benefit of trees to climate resilience and community safety?
Well, our tree codes are, at least city trees are a big portion of what the Salem Parks and Recreation Advisory Board does. They have a subcommittee for trees, and they review tree code. And the tree code is in place to protect heritage trees, significant trees, all kinds of trees, and the code impacts, I would say, the largest impact is the development that we're seeing occurring at this point. Because when developers want to develop a piece of property, we have to have the code that tries to create a balance between the buildings the developer wants to build, yet still maintaining trees along our riparian corridors and retaining the largest trees, which have the largest carbon benefits. And so it's really, really crucial that we have those codes to be able to do that. Our tree canopy, I'm trying to remember because our goal was 30 something and we were approaching that pretty well before we had the ice storm of 21. It wiped out quite a few of our trees. Right now we're facing problems with the emerald ash borer because it's attacking our ash trees. And so I would say, yes, the code is really important and important to follow, and it affects both residential and business. But it's the other strategies and things we're doing to help retain trees, protect our environment, protect our riparian areas. I mean, we recently just did the natural resources inventory, or we're actually in the process of it, where we're looking at all the streams in Salem and the riparian areas, that buffer zone on both sides of those streams. And also, I wanted to let you know the city has inventoried all of their city trees currently, and we have almost 50,000 city trees, and each one is identified on a map, and the information about that tree is accessible. So we've been doing lots of stuff.
Terrific. Thank you for that. Now we invite candidate Varney to share their closing remarks and their public contact information.
Okay. Being a city councilor is really about showing up, listening, solving problems, and making sure the basics people rely on every day actually work. I can't change how much you're paying at the pump or the cost of groceries, but I can make sure you have clean water, garbage service, walkable neighborhoods, and parks and libraries your family can enjoy. And when you call 911, I ensure that someone shows up to help you at a time of your greatest need and fear. I've worked hard to make sure your voice is heard. In 2022, I successfully added an amendment to the Our Salem plan to ensure traffic congestion in West Salem is addressed. And that work begins this summer with the Transportation System Master Plan. I've worked to make our streets safer with lower speed limits and better pedestrian crossings, and I've supported the Safe, Clean, and Healthy Salem initiative to rejuvenate our downtown while helping to connect people to the services they need and the housing they can afford. I've also made government transparency a priority, pushing for open meetings and making sure that your tax dollars are spent responsibly and in the public eye. I'll keep pushing for responsible growth, more local services, better transportation, and long-term regional solutions to traffic congestion, like another river crossing, because this work isn't about promises, it's about results. It's about showing up, doing the work, and being accountable to you. I'm running for re-election because I want to preserve and strengthen the small town feeling that makes West Salem such a special place to live. I would be honored to have your support. And you can reach me or see my website is mickiforsalem.com and find me on Facebook, other places.
Thank you, candidate Varney, for our interview today and for sharing your thoughts. Thanks to Capital Community Media for their production and technology skills, to our community groups that provided questions and topics, and to you, the public, for watching this program in order to become an informed voter. You have until April 28th to register to vote or make any changes to your registration. Watch for your ballot in the mailbox beginning on April 29th. Remember to vote, and vote early before May 19th, especially if you're mailing in your ballot. For more local, state, and national voter election information on candidates and ballot measures, visit vote411.org after April 15th when the data will be posted. Elections matter. Remember to vote, because your vote counts.